Hi folks, so today is a special day. It is a day where I've gotten 4 or 5 questions about the same thing, and I've decided to do a video on that topic. That topic being, how would I handle 10th edition and it coming out? The flu, well, or cold as it was when it came in, but I'm calling it a flu, has left my body or is deciding to vacate the premises, which is good. Which means I can get back to work, giving you some more videos, as well as doing my own work, because I have a lot of marking to get through this week. So, looking at what we've got to do today, is we're going to pitch 10th edition to you. We're going to try and give it our best shot. And I've even gone back to an old friend, the PowerPoint, which I haven't used on this channel for some time, because I've been very, very, very lazy. But hey, I think now is the best time to go out and actually do something about that. So, let's give it a go. So, without further ado, bang, bang, bang. Right, so, 10th edition. How are we going to do this? Right, let's pitch it. Let's pitch the idea of 10th edition. So, before we go into anywhere, these are only opinions. This is just me, what I think about the hobby and where I think it should go next. I'd love to know what you think. So if you want to tell me, please tell me. The Discord is in the description below. It's free. You should come on there and tell us all about what you think the hobby should be. And, if you like what I do, like the channel, like the video, follow the channel, do whatever you want to do, man. It's up to you. But yeah, Warhammer 10th edition. For those of you who know, I worked for GW through 7th and to 9th, essentially. So I've been able to see the transition from old school Warhammer in terms of 7th edition and AP and things like that, working our way through to 8th edition, which is a big simplification of the rules and the sweet spot, I think. Now into 9th edition, where things gone more convoluted again, because Games Workshop likes to add things to their games that really don't need to be added sometimes. But hey, anyway, let's see what I would do with 10th edition. How are we going to do this? Let's pitch it. So, number 1, stratagems. So this is the culling part of the hobby. This is the part of the hobby where we're going to be getting rid of a hell of a lot of stuff. So 95% of stratagems are removed from the game entirely. I do not like stratagems. I'm not a big fan. I think they add things to the game that don't really need to be remembered. I think they slow down the game. And what's worse, they're a frustration tactic. They are a tactic to annoy your opponent with gotchas. How the hell is your opponent supposed to know every single stratagem that is in your codex, right? It just encourages gamers who have eidetic memories, because they are out there, let's be honest, we live in a very special hobby with very special people in it. It encourages people like that to go and memorize every single codex out there and be able to know exactly what's coming at them at all times, or to have things in their codex that interrupts the opponent's turn. That is an anathema to me. If you interrupt your opponent's turn with rules of your own, it's kind of shitty. I don't like it. I shouldn't be in the game at all. And even if it is in the game, it should only be with certain very, very special characters and tactics. It shouldn't be with every other stratagem that you have is interrupting the opponent's combat phase, for example. Or interrupting your opponent's, charging phase or shooting phase or whatever. It shouldn't interrupt it. So, in 10th edition now, every army has 2 to 3 very thematic stratagems to use as they see fit. For instance, White Scars will have a stratagem to select one unit and have it run twice. Essentially coupled with their chapter tactic of being able to run and charge, this makes them even more powerful at what they do best. So, White Scars at the moment, their chapter tactic is that they can run and shoot, or run and charge, which makes them extremely fast getting across the tabletop. Well, what if you're a White Scars player and you want to use a command point to make one of your, or 2 command points even, to make one of your units run again? You know what I mean? That means you could literally end up running at 24 to 30 odd inches in a single turn, which is such a White Scars thing to do. And that one unit can go and do that because you paid your stratagem points for it. So you're still using stratagems, but we've culled them all down. We've gotten rid of most of them, and we've given each and every army 2 or 3 really thematic ones that work for their style of army in the lore, right? And lore is a big thing that we'll be coming into later on in our descriptions of what's going on with 10th edition. So, Certain characters, Lords of War, for example, also have one stratagem to use. So, we're getting rid of most of the reams and reams and reams of stratagems that armies tend to have these days. And each army will have basically 2 to 5. So 2 to 3, which are army-wide, and another 2, one of which is on one of a character, right? So Khaldor Drago, for instance, will have his own stratagem that he can use, from time to time. Do you know all those annoying different combat, styles that you can do with certain characters? I can do a sweeping strike, or I can do a hammer strike, or well, those are stratagems now. You can just employ stratagems, and right, this Khaldor Drago is going to do, sweeping slash, which means he's going to hit everybody in front of him with the same attack and blah blah, right? We're going to do that sort of thing with stratagems. Basically, give you more ownership over your army without slowing the whole game down, so you can have your little moment, right? That's not what we want. The game shouldn't be about wresting control of the game entirely away from your opponent. I know that sounds weird, but the game should be about telling a story with the armies that you have on the tabletop that's really fun, as well as trying to win the game of 140,000. That's what this entire edition is based around for me. So, those are stratagems. So, box sets. Our theme for the box sets is the year of narrative choice. Okay? We'll get into that later on, that word narrative. But there are two central core starter box sets that are released in £120, £80 and £40 forms. I really liked that in 8th edition when it came in, because I noticed a lot of grandparents who would come in with not that much money would say, oh, little Timmy he loves, Death Guard, and, I really want to get him some, but they're so expensive in here. And I said, well, and they're looking at Dark Imperium, and I say, yes, it is very expensive, but we do have this smaller box set, which will add to that box set, which is just as good, which is just exactly what he'll want. It's got loads of Death Guard in it. It's got Space Marines that you can corrupt to Death Guard. Double your money. There you go. £40, right? I love that. Gives Games Workshop managers a wider scope to sell the hobby too, which is never a bad thing. So keep that. Brilliant. Box set 1 is Chaos Space Marines, and I would have them being Black Legion and Khorne, since we're doing lots of corny stuff this year. Angron and people like that. And I would have Space Marines. And Space Marines on the box set, I would actually have them be a random successor chapter. I just pick one. Probably Astral Knights. I'd probably just pick the Astral Knights. It's a cool colour scheme. And I'd have them be the poster boys of the next edition. And within the rule book, you will actually have a specific, or maybe even a pull-out booklet on how to build your own Space Marine chapter, how to give it its own lore, its own heraldry, its own background, its own characters, and even, shock horror, how to write your own rules for certain characters and certain units that you want to use in the game. Of course, getting your opponent's permission before you use them in the game, but hey, how to, and there's a huge thing at the back of that booklet, how to convert your Space Marine models to make them your own, to make them like your own thing, right? And if you wanted to do it, we could even do it for the Chaos Space Marines, say how to do your own warband, things like that, right? It's all about your narrative choice. It's your army. You don't have to paint it as Ultramarines. Go and do whatever the hell you want with it. And by the way, if you want to paint it as Ultramarines, that's also fine. We're just saying, it's up to you. You don't have to you can do whatever you want, right? And that's what Build Your Own Chapter is all about. It comes in box set 1, and it's there. You can build your own chapter from scratch. With the studio team, they write it for you. They say, look, here we go. Here's how you do it. Here's how we do it. When we're doing lore in the office, this is how we do it. How we work out things and things like that. Here's how to do it with your friends. Say if one of you is really good at drawing and one of you is really good at writing, combine your skills and make your own Space Marine chapter. Beautiful stuff, right? Get everybody involved in flexing those narrative muscles. Box set 2. It's Eldar, build your own craft world, very similar, right? So we'll have Oathway on the front of the box, but you can build it however you want. You can build, you can paint your own models, do whatever you want as you go. And Orcs exactly the same. We have Ghazghkull on the front with a load of his boys as well. Put Ghazghkull in there, put him in the actual box set. Go on. You want to, just put him in the box set. And you can paint your orcs however you want, right? And we would do it exactly the same way. There'd be a booklet for each army. Here's how you make your own Eldar craft world. And you can introduce people to the lore that way as well, right? Here's law on the craft worlds, how they work, what their culture is, what the whole Slaneshi problem, right? And the orcs, they're all fungi, they're all got space hulks, things like that. Cool stuff, right? Give loads of people some lore to get their teeth stuck into as they're thinking about what to do with their models. Right, number 4. All 4 codexes of Chaos Space Marines, Eldar, and Orcs are released and available at the release of 10th edition, right? The £120 box set comes with 1 free codex of your choice. So, if you pick up box set 1 and you really want to do Chaos Space Marines, you can say, hey, could I get the Chaos Space Marine codex, please, with that? Yes, okay, there you go. Bang, it's on top of it. Imagine the first couple of people who don't know that, who walk into the store, and the Games Workshop guy says, yeah, that's free. You know? I'd have the free ones that come with the box set be the paperbacks, but it's still a full codex, just in paperback form. Bang, free, there you go. Right? Have it. All yours. No problem. You know? And then I would obviously, bring out hardbacks if you really want the full issue, then you've got to pay for that yourself. But they would all come with the box sets as they come out. So, I know, pipe dreams, but, is what it is. So, the rules. Going into the meat and potatoes of the game now. How does it work? So, I'm not going to go into every single rule that we have in the game, because that'd be ridiculous. But I'll be bringing narrative lore and points power into line. Right? I've mentioned this on a few as one of my pet peeves. I'll be bringing these things onto the tabletop. So, for example, Grey Knights and Custodes are now, man for man, the best Space Marine armies in the game. As in, man for man, again, So it doesn't mean, please get off your high horse and stop whinging, right? It doesn't mean your lovely Space Wolves or Dark Angels are going to get beaten by Grey Knights or Custodes every single time they play them. That's not what it means. It means if you have a single Grey Knight and a single Space Marine, the Grey Knight mathematically will win 95% of the time, right? That's what it means. Okay? They are the best Space Marine style armies in the game, man for man, but they are extremely expensive points-wise. So 3 to 4 squads should make up an entire army of Grey Knights or Custodes, right? And we use this logic to repoint and balance the entire rule book and every codex that comes out thereafter, right? So you will have extremely cheap horde armies of Tyranids, or you can have an extremely expensive monster list of Tyranids, that kind of a thing. Or you can have a combined force of the two and have a mid-sized army. Okay? Things like that. That's how we would work it into the actual faction of the lore. In terms of, you can have whole teams worth, as in a sea of guardsmen if you want. Or you can have super heavies, things like that, right? Technically, you can do that in the game now, but I would make it even more of a point that certain things in the lore are extremely powerful, and that should be represented in the rules going forwards, okay? So, armies not in the starter box sets are given indexes, much like in 8th edition, if you remember those paper books that you get. And these indexes are available in full, online, for free. I really hated, in 8th edition, how the indexes came out with the full view that they were going to be replaced by their codexes, very soon down the line, and you had to pay for them. It really got on my nerves, because I just thought, well, you're nickel and diming people. You're charging them twice for the same thing, and it's not really very nice, right? Yes, indexes covered loads of different armies, but that's made them less special. It just made them less special to me, right? I just didn't get it. I wanted my own army to have its own little books. So, every index is online, and every army has its own index, and these are free. Online, you can use them, right? And every other month from release, 2 codexes should be released, alongside 1 or 2 new casts or models for the army in question. So that if the first 2 are, as you see there, Custodes and Grey Knights, then you would have, you'd have new casts and new models for the Custodes and for the Grey Knights coming out with the codexes as they come out. And of course the codexes will supplant the indexes, not necessarily more powerful, just newer rules, basically, right? A big reworking of the rules. So the indexes are bare bones, whereas the codexes add more things to your rules going forwards, right? So technically, yeah, you're more powerful than you are if you're an index. That's something we're not going to be able to get across. You know, it's just something that's going to happen. But the index rules are free. So at least you're not charging people for inferior rules, you know? And you can play the game straight away. And I would actually try and balance it so an index army can beat a full codex army. That's the test of 10th edition. If 10th edition can get by that test, then it's working as an edition. That's how I would try and balance the game. Anyway, how the game plays. All right, big news. Matched play. Alternating activations. So, there are different ways to play Warhammer 40,000. I would make sure that is clear. You have narrative play, where you can do whatever the hell you want, but it's following a... you have free-for-all play, you have narrative play, where you're following a storyline, so the rules don't really matter that much. But matched play, which is what most people do play, we will have alternating activations. That is movement, psychic, shooting, and charging / combat are now activated in alternating mini-turns. So, I move one unit, you move one unit. I move another unit, you move another unit, as the battle plays out in front of us, right? You shoot with one unit, I shoot with one unit. Done, right? No rules allowing players to act in their opponent's actions. These are annoying and take away from the flow of the game, right? So there's nothing more annoying in 9th edition right now than the gotchas. Like when your opponent has taken so long to do their turn because they have all of these convoluted stratagem style rules. And finally, you get your turn after taking an absolute pummeling, and then they start interrupting your turn with their bullshit, with their fucking stratagems that they go, oh, by the way, you know, gotcha, I'm doing, fuck off, right? Just play the game, mate, right? But this isn't all about you. We're not all here to celebrate your models, okay? We're here to actually play a game for Warhammer 40,000, and that's how this game would play, right? There are no rules allowing you to interrupt your opponent's turn. Only specific very powerful characters have rules like this. Gilliman, for example. You know, Rabute Gilliman would have a rule where, you know, he can do a heroic intervention. Things like that, right? Those things are made extremely rare. Not everybody can do them. There are no stratagems saying that you can do them. They're out. Right? Alright. So, and here's the one I would look forward to. It became a thing. Each time we pass into a new phase, psychic to shooting, for example, the player with the least power points, because they're easier to count than normal points, remaining on the table activates first. So, if I activated first at the end of the shooting phase, right, but I have the least amount of power points left on the table, I will go first in charging in combat. Right, I will get to activate first in charging in combat. It gives the games a more swingy vibe, so that the guys who are losing actually get to do their shit. They're not just getting hammered every single time, right? You don't roll to see who goes first in every single one. No, you don't do that. You literally, the person with the least amount of points left on the table goes first in the next phase. That just is what it is, right? So, and it also simulates the flow of battle, as one side fights harder as they lose models until they rout completely. Okay, so we're simulating, if alternating activation is all about simulating the flow of battle, then making sure that the person with the least stuff on the table is acting more also simulates that happening on the tabletop, right? And it tries to keep things from coming into 2-turn hammerings. I would really try and keep, you know, tablings within a few turns very rare in 10th edition, right? This should be about killing as much as you can, but both of you should be having fun, and both of you should be having a nice balanced time on the tabletop. If you're not, the game's failed completely. Alright, missions. So, missions will remain objective-based, because I really like the way that they're doing that right now. But many move away from the hold this piece of ground type of game, although they do still exist. That's the one thing in Warhammer 40,000 I don't like right now. Every single mission seems to be based on, yeah, you got to hold this objective, and this objective, and this objective. I mean, it's like, do you have no other ideas? Let's do something else, right? Instead, many missions are character or army focused. So, Slay the Warlord is its own assassination style mission where slaying the opponent's warlord is worth a lot of victory points. Okay? And let's say if you're playing like Imperial Agents or you're playing an Inquisitorial, you know, hit squad or whatever. Yeah, so Slay the Warlord is a big part of how you should be playing the game. And so you select that as your mission. Say, right, okay, I'm going to slay that warlord over there, and it's worth a lot of victory points. Cool, right? Other missions are capture missions, where you must take down an opponent infantry model nominated by your opponent, and then drag them back to your table edge to be abducted. This can work in a similar way for relics as they have in previous editions of Warhammer 40,000, right? So we're bringing more narrative stylings into the missions of Warhammer 40,000 going forwards. That's what we want to try and do. So, and in your codex as well, one of the things that you will get is negative missions. These will be, say, if you're Tyranids, you will have lots of missions where you are the offensive player and things that you need to do to win a game as a mission. But there will also be missions where the opponent needs to come and try and kill you in a certain way. And you can say to your opponent, hey, do you fancy doing this mission? It's in my codex. It means you've got to come kill this Carnifex because it's holding like a very big strain of Nurgle's Rot and you've got to get rid of it. Or you've got to kill these like 3 models who are trying to eat this specific person on the floor. Something, things like that. We should be doing more of that in Warhammer 40,000. Give each and every mission a huge narrative edge. Do you have to do that? No. There are still many objectives that are just play a game of Warhammer 40,000 and take these objectives. No problem, right? One mission I wanted designed was a heroic last stand mission, right? Where an army plants a bomb in the centre of the field. So you've got to fight your way to the centre of the field. And then you've got to hold it until the end of the game where it detonates. Factor this in with normal objectives too, and it leaves many ways to win a game of Warhammer 40,000. That's how I would want to do it, right? That's how I would want to go about these style of missions. Okay, I'd want to have moral victory. So let's say in that Slay the Warlord mission, I'm fighting you who are watching the video. I'm playing against you, and I managed to slay your warlord. Right? I don't automatically win the game. I get like 20 victory points for that. Right? But because I focus so much on that, you take every other objective in the board every turn, and you win the game by 5 points. So you still win the game, but I still get to have that in my head, or even say to you, well, I did what I came here to do, so the Imperium is happy, right? My superiors are happy, mission accomplished. And you go, yeah, right, I won the game, so I'm happy too. Brilliant, let's shake hands, right? That's how every single Warhammer 40,000 game should really end, right? Everybody's had a good time, everybody's had a laugh, and no one's been absolutely annihilated off the table, right? It's swung back and forth. You had to make actual tactical decisions as we go through the game, and the best man has won because you both won, because you're both hobbyists and you're both awesome. Give yourselves a pat on the back, right? So here's the big one: prices. Prices are frozen or even dropped. I know, pie in the sky. Prices are frozen or even dropped to thank fans for their continued support during the pandemic and to allow more people to enter the hobby in these trying times. One of the things that has mainly pissed me off about Games Workshop going forwards is the fact that they have been completely tone deaf to everything. They're very able to virtue signal to you and waggle their finger at you and tell you how to behave, but they're never actually there to have your back in any other way whatsoever. Go out and get a better job, scrub, get more money, scrub and give it to us if you want to be in the hobby. That's their attitude. I'd have that reversed. We've made far, far money beyond our wildest dreams. We want to keep making that money, yes, but we also want to make sure that we have customers here who are treated properly. So we freeze our prices, or we even drop them to thank fans for their continued support during the pandemic in pushing our customer base and pushing our stock prices through the roof. Thank you. And you know what? Build it and they will come. If they do this, models will fly off the shelves. Build it and they will come. Here's the other thing that I'm surprised they don't have the brains to do. Children under 16 qualify for a flat 25% discount on everything in store, not online. So, if you want to drive foot traffic to the stores and keep them as retail businesses, as Games Workshop does apparently want to do, right? This is the way to make sure they are always full of new recruits without hurting your normal customer base. You do not have to shit on regular customers to get new ones. You don't. You just don't. What you need to do is go to single mums or dads and say, hey, we know you're struggling, so not only have we dropped the prices across the board, here's a 25% discount for you and little Timmy. come in and get involved in the hobby. We can get you through this. Because we're Games Workshop, damn it, and we stand up for you. Right? We make loads of money selling this stuff, and we're really lucky to be able to do it. So thank you. Here's a 25% discount. Let's make sure that you and your kids are as obsessed with the hobby as we are for the rest of your lives. That's what we need to do. Okay? It's not available online, by the way, because we want to drive foot traffic to Games Workshop stores. If they want the stores to be financially viable, then do this. Drive foot traffic, drive new recruits, and this will make sure that every store that you have is chock full of new people who want to try the hobby. New people who are, you know, the best people to get into the hobby, the younger people who are just getting into the hobby. I cannot tell you how grateful my mother would have been if we had this when I was getting into the hobby. I would have had several armies if we had that 25% discount, because people like to give money to companies that have their backs. Go figure, right? So, that is how... Oh, well, we've got one more. Share the spotlight. Yeah, this is something I forgot. And this is, again, hitting the nail on the head. Even I forgot about this part of the presentation. So, I'll treat the release year, or the year after the release year. I think this will come out in 2023, to be honest with you. I think 2024, the year after everything's been released, I'd make it the year of the underused, right? So, armies like Astra Militarum, Tyranids, Necrons, Sisters of Battle, or less so now, Chaos Demons, Grey Knights, anything with 20-plus-year-old sculpts needs new models and huge love in their codexes. They need to be the more powerful of the codexes. When I say the more powerful, I don't mean like, you know, there's only 2 armies in the meta right now. No, I mean, you know, if we have the normal Space Marines are like an 8, Grey Knight should be a 9. Necron should be a 9. Tyranid should be a 9, right? You can still beat these armies, but they're very, very competitive moving forwards. Moving in the right direction, as we are with the current Tyranid Codex, right? It seems very powerful, but what good are those rules without lovely new models to play them with? Okay, so 2024 would be the year where I focus on bringing the rest of my model line up to snuff. You can do it with Age of Sigmar, then you can do it with the Warhammer 40,000. Don't tell me you can't. Don't piss on my head and tell me it's raining. Alright? Cool. So that is how I would handle 10th edition. What do you think? How would you handle 10th edition with it coming out? And it being announced? Let me just go on here. So if you see something that you shouldn't, then, you know, it's probably something to do with me. There we go. So, how would you deal with Games Workshop going forwards with 10th edition? Would you lower the prices? Would you even raise the prices? You know, what the hell would you do? What kind of box sets would you want to see? What kind of models would you want to see? What kind of release schedule would you want to see? Would you want to see indexes back? If so, would you be okay paying for them? Answer the questions. Put them in the comment section below. I love you all long time. I hope you all enjoyed my rant on 10th edition and what I would do with it. Have a really good rest of your week. I will speak to you towards Wednesday. We'll be having more Hobby Nightmares. Love you long time. Speak to you soon. Have a good one.